parties in the matter of Krezakowski versus Suggs. Step forward, please.
United States Marine Joseph Krezakowski is suing his ex-girlfriend, 26-year-old lease administrator Amy Suggs, for her share of a credit card debt.
Mr. Krezakowski, you claim that the defendant, who is your former girlfriend, owes you for some credit card debt.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that, yes, in fact, you did agree to pay half of the credit card debt that the two of you had accumulated while you were together, but then she had second thoughts about it after she made some payments, and she feels as if she should not have to pay that because she was sort of pressured into making the agreement. Is that your defense?
Not exactly.
Well, what's your defense?
There were extenuating circumstances when we separated, and I felt like I was taken advantage of in the situation. Not necessarily that I just decided I didn't want to make payments anymore.
Well, let's start with the fact that the two of you lived together.
Yes.
And that you had this credit card that had built up how much in debt, sir?
When we separated, it was at $6,500 and some change, ma'am.
And you agreed to split that debt in half?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you separated when?
About the 20th of July of 2002, ma'am, or of January.
20th of January?
Yes, ma'am.
And you did make payments up until March of 2003?
Correct.
And then stopped?
Right.
Okay, now explain why.
When we separated, I was in a situation where I was in North Carolina with my son, an 8-year-old, by myself. Joe had made reference several times to being in relationships before where everything had been taken away from him. I needed to get out of the relationship, and I was concerned that when we separated, it wouldn't be as easy as I wanted it to be. Not only was I alone in North Carolina, but I had no friends there to help me in my situation. When the discussion came up about us separating, I agreed not to take anything with me that he would have to replace, and I agreed to pay half of the credit card.
What do you mean you agreed not to take anything that he would have to replace?
Well,
what did you take with you?
I took my son's bedroom furniture, my personal belongings, my clothing, some extra dishes.
You took dishes. Go ahead. What else?
And I believe I took a hope chest, a cedar hope chest.
Anything else that you took, sir?
She took the computer and also a china hutch for the kitchen.
Does that sound familiar?
Yes, yes.
You left the computer out, and you left the china hutch out, right?
Right.
Was the computer purchased on the credit card?
It was purchased on a totally separate credit card that was already paid off by this time, ma'am.
Was anything that was taken by the defendant items that had been purchased on the credit card?
No, ma'am. Basically, the credit card was used for both our children's Christmas and birthdays and things for around the house.
Okay. You haven't convinced me so far, Miss Suggs. All I hear is a lot of excuses. You want to take one last shot?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
When we separated, majority of our furniture that we had accumulated together, we either brought into a relationship or bought while we were together. He kept all of it. I don't have anything to show for that. A few measly pieces of furniture.
Did you ask for anything else?
I wanted more things, but I wasn't in a position to ask because I was by myself. I didn't know how he would react, how he would respond.
Well, then you didn't ask for it. Then you took whatever you said you wanted.
Not only did I have to refurnish an entire apartment, I've paid him $1,300, in addition to the fact that at the time we separated, he was making probably twice as much as I was.
All of those are excuses. You were living together as a family. You had a child. Did you have children?
I have a son from a previous marriage that doesn't live with me, but he'd come and visit, ma'am.
Your son would come and visit, and your child lived with you. So you had this credit card that was used for your family. He agreed to pay for half. You agreed to pay for half. And I was right when I said later on, after you made some payments, you had second thoughts.
No, I didn't have second thoughts. All along, I felt like I had been taken advantage of.
You made the deal. Live by it. Stop being a crybaby. You made the deal. That's the deal. Stop having second thoughts about it. How come you didn't have second thoughts and say, you know, I really should give him the entire amount? How come it's always, I have second thoughts, I don't think I'm going to give him anything?
Because I didn't trust that he would leave me alone. I gave him all
that's
the furniture
unfortunate,
and
madam. You haven't told me any reason why you didn't trust him. Because he had another bad relationship where he ended up on the short end of the stick financially? That was your reason? Miss Suggs, be a grown-up. You made the deal. You live by it. The check will be drawn to the card company, which will clear your credit, sir, of $2,481.65. That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 219 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Demonkowski. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a journeyman carpenter.
According to your complaint, you and the defendant had dated. He got himself arrested for falling behind in his child support. You agreed to bail him out. The bail was $1,100. I don't know if that was the bail or what he owed him back child support. What was it?
It was what was owed.
So she gave you the money to support your child?
Yes.
How old is your child?
She is 7.
Does she live with you?
No, she lives with her parent, or her other parent.
So you paid his portion of his child support so that he could get out of jail, $1,100, with the following arrangement. And the arrangement was that since he didn't have money, he was going to fix your father's roof.
Yes.
Is that right?
That was the agreement, yes, after I got out of jail.
And once you got out of jail, you did not fix her father's roof. And you have what you consider the perfect defense for why you didn't fulfill your end of your obligation. So, sir, Officer Bird and I are all ears.
All right. The main reason why I'm not going to pay her back now, or didn't think that I owed her any money.
Listen, I want you to start this way so that you really don't irritate me. The reason that I believe I have a legitimate defense,
All right.
not the reason I'm not going to pay it back now or never.
All right. The reason I do not believe I need to owe her this amount of money is I get laid off every winter. Well, unemployment only pays a percentage of my child support, so...
Listen to me. Because you're in construction and things got slow and you got laid off, there are other kinds of jobs that you can do if you have a 7-year-old child that you have to support, other than collecting unemployment. You can wait tables, you can wash dishes, you can collect cans. There are a lot of other things that you do. So I have no sympathy for you.
Well,
so get to your defense.
Okay, my defense is afterwards she ended up going out, unbeknownst to me, she found out where my ex-wife lived. And me and my ex-wife, we had a vehicle that was purchased with us together for me to ride back and forth to work when we were married. Well, my ex-wife made an arrangement with me to sign it over into my name, and I was driving it back and forth to work, getting ready to assume payments. Well, before even a month went by, Michelle, she ended up filing a suit against me.
On what date did she bail you out? Did she pay your child?
I don't remember the exact date.
What month?
May 12th.
And on what date did you start to work on her father's roof?
I haven't yet because I was trying to...
Shh. And on what date did you file this lawsuit?
I believe it was July 3rd.
So between May 12th, when you got out of jail, and July 3rd, you hadn't started working on her father's roof.
No, because I was working at my job.
Who cares?
She made it an explicit comment, don't worry about it, do it when you have time. Exact words out of her mouth.
I still don't hear it. Do you hear a defense anywhere?
Well,
anywhere
she
in
ended up
this
making me
stew.
lose this vehicle, so I ended up missing 8 days of work.
How did she cause you to lose the vehicle?
She went to my ex-wife's house, and my ex-wife became furious, took the vehicle back, and just decided to sell it or do whatever. I have documentation from my boss.
Who cares whether you lost 8 days of work? I don't care whether you should. If you lost 8 days of work, you should have done her father's roof. Then you fulfill your obligation.
No vehicle means no transportation to go do a job.
Let me ask you this question, sir. Are you telling me that you stayed in your house for 8 days? You had enough food and water and sustenance. You didn't go out of your house?
Well, pretty much, yeah. I had no vehicle to go nowhere, so that means I did not go anywhere.
Did you call her father and say, I don't have a car, come and pick me up, and I'll come over and do your roof all day?
No, I only talked to Michelle.
You know, you have an excuse for everything. You have an excuse for why you didn't pay child support. You have an excuse for why you didn't fulfill your obligation pursuant to your agreement with her. You have an excuse why you can't get out of bed in the morning.
I get up 4:30 every morning and go to work.
Then if you went to work at your other job, and if you didn't want to go and fix her father's roof, you give her back her $1,100. Let me put it to you this way, sir. Between 5/12 and 7/3, if you didn't go and fix her father's roof, how much did you pay her back each week of the $1,100?
0.
You got my drift.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, you talked about an ex-wife, sir. Is that the person who was the mother of your 7-year-old?
No, she is not.
Do you have a child with that person?
No, I do not.
And that's your only child, I
That is
assume?
my only child.
Thank God for small favors.
And later today,
You say that you loaned the cosmetics case to the defendant. It was yours. She won't return it. She says it's her case. And Bird really cares about this.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Davis says when ex-boyfriend Charles Diemenkowski was arrested for unpaid child support, she helped him out and paid off the debt.
Now listen to me. You know what your problem is? Your problem is you made a stupid deal. I wouldn't want him fixing my roof.
I don't want him to fix it.
Well, I know you
No.
don't want to, but that was the agreement you made.
Right, because...
Miss Davis, that was the agreement that you made with him. That was very dumb.
I know.
So I have to be able to look at the facts here and say, do I have confidence that if I direct this man to fulfill his obligation to do your father's roof pursuant to your agreement that he's going to do it? And am I going to stand over him with a whip to make sure he does it? The answer is, I'm not going to do that. So I have to find some balance. I have to find some way of making you whole because he's full of baloney. Right? He's got every excuse under the sun. He's a user. Now, you talked about an ex-wife, sir. Is that the person who was the mother of your 7-year-old?
No, she is not.
Do you have a child with that person?
No, I do not.
And that's your only child, I
That
assume?
is my only child.
Thank God for small favors. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100. I wouldn't let him fix my roof. That's all.
All right, he's excused. You may step out.
He told me not to call him anymore, and his roommate threatened me.
She only went out for one reason, to go be vindictive to my ex-wife.
This is his ex-wife, and we're friends, and I didn't cause a problem.
She never met my ex-wife before this, ever.
I think he's a user.
Hopefully never see him again, big black wall, that'll be fine.
Yeah, this is case number 130 on the calendar in the matter of Berry versus Garrett. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
All right, reading your complaint, Miss Berry, is like reading one of those little mini novels. Let me see if I can explain to my friend Bird over here what I think happened. You and Mr. Garrett were involved as boyfriend and girlfriend for a period of time. Then you broke up. After you broke up, you continued to have some contact with him. So far, am I correct?
Yes.
Where were you living?
In Las Vegas,
And where was he living?
Studio City, California.
And while you were dating, you would go to him for a weekend, he would come to you for a weekend, but after you broke up, on Valentine's Day, you decided to go to visit him.
Correct.
Did you call him first?
Yes.
What did you say to him when you said, oh, it's Valentine's Day, I want to come and see you?
It wasn't so much of an issue as it being Valentine's Day. It was just the weekend, and I called him and told him I was on my way out there.
And what did he say?
At first, we were not getting along very well, so at first he was kind of like, no. But then as the week went on, he was like, go ahead and come out here. And then I called him and told him my friend was going to come with us, and that's when he was like, no, she doesn't need to come. But, I told her that's fine. She can come. And
Just a second. So first he said, don't come. And then you called again, and you schmoozed him again, and he finally said, okay, you can come.
Right.
And then you said, I'm on my way, I'm coming with a girlfriend. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And he was annoyed.
Right.
So you get to his house, and there's a bit of a disagreement, because according to his answer, you were on the phone when he came home from work or something, and you were on the phone with a fella, right?
Right.
And he was annoyed. You were annoyed.
Correct.
Because you felt as if she was sort of using you.
Correct.
You didn't write that in here, but I sort of pieced that together.
Okay.
This is all leading up to what this lawsuit is about, but you understand, Bird, that I'm just getting you there.
So far, I'm following you.
So far, you're following. So, they're not really in a relationship, but sometimes maybe. She gives him a tease. She says, I want to come out. He said, no, yeah, please, let me come out. Okay, I'm on my way, and I'm with my friend. What's her name?
Argina.
Argina. Who's Argina? What do I need an Argina here for on Valentine's Day weekend, right? You and I are going to cozy up on Valentine's Day. Who needs Argina? Comes with Argina. He's really annoyed. He leaves, comes home. Not only does he come home, he finds her on the telephone talking, schmoozing it up with a guy. He is really annoyed. And you broke her.
Cell phone.
Right. So that's item numero uno.
Right.
Broken cell
Cell
phone.
phone.
How much is the cell phone?
I had insurance on it, so it was only $35. I had to pay the Sprint $35 insurance.
Great. $35 on the plaintiff's side. Then, after he broke the cell phone, the two of you got into sort of a shouting match, and you and your friend, Argina, took off. According to your complaint, you took off, and you also took the house keys.
Right.
You say that he went and followed you and was chasing you all over the place.
He was.
Backed into your car, causing damage to your car, and you want him to pay for the damage that he caused to your car. That's what your
Exactly.
lawsuit is. Cell phone, damage to your car. Mr. Garrett says that after you had this argument, and he was so furious that he broke your cell phone and you took off, it was very late at night, right?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock in the morning. Mr. Garrett says after you left, he got hungry. Right, Mr. Garrett?
Yep.
So you went out in search of food. You were foraging for food.
Well, it was around 11 o'clock. Everything happened at 1, but yeah, around 11 o'clock. I just got home, remember. Go ahead.
And serendipitously, you found her.
Yep.
Pick it up from there, Mr. Garrett.
All right, I can pick it up from there, although some of the things that were said weren't totally true, but I'll pick it up from there. Okay, so I'm driving down the street. I see her crossing the intersection. I'm looking at her. I want my keys. She's not giving my keys.
She's crossing the intersection. She's in her car, you're in yours. How do you convey to her, Mr. Garrett, that you want your keys?
I just looked at her, and she looked at me, and she laughed and peeled out.
So that's how you conveyed to her that you want my keys.
Well, I think she knows I want my keys.
Shh, don't tell me what you think she knows.
Okay.
So you conveyed nothing to her. So she's peeling out, and what did you do?
Followed her.
You chased her.
Yes. Well, in the beginning, I followed her because it seemed to me that she was going to my house because the street that she turned off of was heading back to my house. So,
So at the beginning you were following. When did it turn into a chase, Mr.
When
Garrett?
she didn't turn on my street.
And then what happened? So then you knew she wasn't coming back to your house.
When she didn't turn on my street and got to the light, I stopped at my street. She went all the way to the end and quickly hit the corner. So I sped up to the corner and I saw her at the other corner. And
Why?
Because she had my only set of keys to my other car and my house.
So you're chasing her at
Yep.
this point instead of going back to your house and calling 911 and
Yep.
or going to the local precinct and saying, listen, this woman took my keys. She has my only set of keys with her. I know she's going to be back because she's got stuff in my house, and I don't want to be there to be any problem.
She didn't have any, she took all her things with her, so I figured she was gone. And when I noticed that my keys were gone, I left the house.
I didn't take all my stuff with me because we went back the
Did you?
next day.
Shh. So you were chasing her, and you were both traveling pretty quickly. And then what happened, Mr. Garrett?
Well, when the chase ended, I got out the car. I told her to give me my keys. She said, no, I'm not going to give you your keys. I'll go to your house. Let's just go to your house because you're not going to let me in type thing. So we proceeded to go to my house. Once again, she did not turn on my street. She headed for the freeway. She headed for the freeway. So I sped up in front of her and stopped at the freeway entrance. I wasn't going to get on the freeway. I just stopped there. She backed up. And where she backed up is at a park. She backed up, I backed up.
And that's how you both dented your cars.
I believe.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's how you both dented your cars.
Well, that's how he backed into my car, and so I turned to try to get away from him. He backed up again, and that's how.
What were you doing with his keys?
We took them so we could get back in.
You took them?
Yeah, I took them.
He didn't give them to you. You took them.
No, he was in the room with the door locked with all the house phones and everything. He
I don't care.
locked them in the room. So
I don't care.
We
It's my
left.
House.
Shh. You stole his keys.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Doesn't have a lot of friends.
I don't need a lot of friends.
Just checking your directory. You only
ahead.
know 4 people.
Yeah, I know.
And later today,
You also play a werewolf.
Correct.
You weren't going to see a performance of Snow White.
No, Your Honor.
You were going to the haunted house because you wanted to be,
Scared.
and you were.
Scared.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Natasha Berry says ex-boyfriend Patrick Garrett broke her cell phone and rammed her car in a fit of rage. Patrick says Natasha took advantage of him.
So, did you also key his car?
No, I did not do that.
You say that you keyed your car. What proof do you have that, other than this damage, these 2 smashed cars that I now have, which comes to me, as far as I'm concerned, under the category of both of you deserved it. You stole his keys. You wanted to get him back. You both acted inappropriately. You could have just as easily have gone to the police station and say, I have this nut following me. You know, I want to give him back his keys. I don't want him to follow me anymore, and I just want to go get my stuff. Instead, you were playing with each other. So the only thing you're lucky about is that nobody else got hurt with regard to your antics. So you can both pretty much fix your own cars. Now, you want to show me, prove to me
I
that she
agree.
keyed your car?
Well, the car wasn't keyed before she came to my house. And after this incident happened, the car's keyed. That's the only proof I have besides showing you pictures of the keyed car.
Can I see the pictures, just my own information?
Well, I have it in my phone. Is that
I don't care where it is. I
All
don't care if it's your phone and your ear. I don't care. Just let me see the picture of the keyed car.
You can just thumb through it, but that's one scratch.
Press that button and that advances it.
Doesn't have a lot of friends.
I don't need a lot of friends.
Just checking your directory. You only
ahead.
know 4 people.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Garrett,
Yes, ma'am.
listen to me, sir. In all likelihood, Miss Berry did, in fact, key your car. Unfortunately, the fact that she may have had a motive to do that and an opportunity to do it isn't enough in a court. Now, I have to think about what to do to the 2 of you who could have killed somebody and you're driving around that February 14th weekend because you were both acting foolish. I wish there was something I could do to you and for you. There isn't, unfortunately. The only thing I can do to you is say you will fix your own car because you acted like a fool, and you will fix your own car because you acted like a fool. Does that sound fair?
That's what I said.
Perfect. Goodbye. Oh, and $35 for her. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She wasn't my girlfriend. I didn't invite her down. She just showed up at the crib, so.
He didn't want us to leave. He didn't want me to leave.
All parties in the matter of Murray versus Easton, step forward, please.
23-year-old Lisa Murray is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old Ish Easton, for the cost of a plane ticket to New Jersey. Ish claims Lisa is being vindictive.
Miss Murray, Mr. Easton and you dated briefly, according to your complaint, and you believe he owes you for an airline ticket that you purchased for him in order that the two of you go home to meet the parents. And then you broke up for the trip. Mr. Easton says that the going home to meet the parents was strictly your idea. He never asked you to buy the ticket. You bought it on your own, so you pay for it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you meet him?
February 2006. We were working together.
And when did you start dating?
We started dating in the beginning of June 2006.
And when did you want to go and introduce him to your family?
Through the month of June, or in the beginning of July 2006, our relationship became serious.
No. You're talking so fast I can hardly understand you. I asked you a simple question. When did you want to take him home to meet your parents?
July 2006.
After a full week. Why?
Well, I had missed my family very much, and he also said that he would like to go. He was excited about going to see New York City and seeing New Jersey.
If he was so excited, why didn't he buy his own ticket?
He currently did not have the money at the time, nor did he have a credit card.
What was the arrangement that you made with him?
That when we came back from our trip, that he would be reimbursing me.
And when did you break up?
September 7th, 2006.
And when were you supposed to go to New York?
September 9th, 2006.
I'll hear you.
After she had initially brought the idea to go visit her parents, I told her then, I was like, well, I don't have money.
No, look at me.
Oh, I told her then, I don't have money to pay you back for any kind of ticket before we even discussed repaying anything.
Why would you say that to her? I thought you made it work.
This is after we started dating, man.
No, listen to me. You're not listening. You don't have your listening ears on. You said, I don't have any money. And she just told me that you met at work in February of 2006. What kind of work were you doing?
I, at the time, was working at Home Depot, man.
And in July, where were you working?
I worked for a structural engineering firm.
And in August?
Still work there, man.
Okay, so you were working, you were employed.
Yes.
Do you have children?
No, before dating Miss Murray, I was in a previous relationship. Separating from that relationship, I had to move back home. But upon moving back home, my parents were like, well, you got to help pay bills and stuff like that. So I pay half of everything.
So?
Leaving pretty much nothing.
Well, that's not true. You have money to eat out, right?
On occasion, man. And that was money that I was like, Mom, you know, can I borrow $50 to go out? Or
Mr. Easton, when you discussed with Miss Murray going to New York, I don't believe that you said to her, I don't have the money to pay you now, and I'll never have the money to pay you back, because I don't think that under those circumstances she would have continued to see you, because that would have sounded like something a bum would say. I don't have money now, maybe. I'll never have money to pay you back. I wouldn't have taken you to meet my parents. I would have been humiliated to take you. You're a bum. If you say, I'll never have any money to buy an airline ticket for $295. So I don't believe that you said that to her. I believe that you probably said to her, I don't have money to pay for it now. That I believe. Now, when did she buy the ticket?
she called me and was like, I bought tickets to go to New Jersey.
No, you had already discussed it. So don't say it came as a surprise to you.
I don't
didn't
know
come as a surprise.
I don't know the exact date of her.
When did you
buying
purchase the tickets?
July 25th, I purchased the tickets. I have phone calls.
Shh. And she told you that she purchased them in July.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And you were working in Home Depot.
I was working at Home Depot and the engineering firm at the same
So
time.
2 places.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do with the ticket?
I was unable to refund it because he broke up with me within 24 hours prior to canceling it.
You have the bill?
Yes.
Why did you break up right before you were ready to leave for New York, sir?
But there was a span of like 2 weeks where her and I barely ever saw each other, and that was because my work schedule at the engineering firm went from a regular 8-hour day to 9 to 12-hour days, and I didn't have time to see her. It was work, home, work, bed, pretty much.
Okay.
A gentleman that I play football with, his girlfriend and Miss Murray became very good friends, hanging out, had informed me that the plaintiff had gone to MySpace and read a quote that I'd written on MySpace. And that was one of the first issues. One of the other issues was
Did you say something not nice about her?
I didn't say anything toward her at all. The quote that I left on my page said, due to the pain caused by love, to love I say. And that was nothing toward her previous relationship exactly to that. Then it went from that to she had been saying, oh, I don't have money, I don't have money, I don't have money. Well, then my friend's girlfriend is like, oh, we went shopping today. And Lisa bought this, and Lisa bought that, and Lisa bought this.
What does it make any difference to you whether she said I don't have money?
Well, because if you're going to tell me you don't have money, then how are you going to turn around and go shopping?
She wasn't asking for money from you, was she?
Initially broke up with her because she lies. You can trust a thief because you know they're going to steal. You can trust a killer, you know they're going to kill, but you can't trust a liar. I asked her, I said, well, did you go on my MySpace page and read that? She said no.
And before that, I said, is there anything you want to tell me about that you haven't said to me in the past? No, there's nothing I can think of.
You're going to get your $295 back for the ticket. Before you leave, you get down on the floor, on all fours, kiss the ground, and say, God, thank you for terminating this relationship, because this guy is no good. No bargain, no good, no way. I don't know much about you. I don't know if you're good, but I can tell you right now, he's a bum. He's always going to be a bum, because he makes excuses for what he does that bear no resemblance to reality. That's what he just did. He just gave me a whole cock and bull story. In reality, he probably found somebody else to cover some of his bills. Because when someone is so smitten with a woman, they don't not see them for 2 weeks. They may give up sleeping, but they won't go work, job, work, school, work, and not see the person for whom they have lost their heart. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So he made up a whole big story. Nothing in his story was true. So you're a very lucky girl that you got rid of him, because for somebody who doesn't like lying, he has become very proficient at it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $295. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Financially, he didn't have the money and had other obligations to pay for, and I became at the bottom of the list.
You know, you can't argue with it, so just live on, move on.
He's the one who stood in the courtroom in line today.
I got things to do, life to live, and just would rather move on and not have to deal with it no more.
Just learn from it and move on.
All parties in the matter of Saucedo versus Trejo. Step forward.
22-year-old Leonardo Saucedo is suing his former roommate, 23-year-old Jessica Trejo, for breaking their apartment lease.
Mr. Saucedo, this young lady was a friend of yours, and you decided to rent an apartment together.
That's correct.
You signed a 1-year lease. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, from what I gather. You moved in. Shortly after you moved in, she moved out.
4 months later, yes.
And you were able to, it cost you several $1,000s, and you believe that because she moved out without any good cause, that she should be responsible for the early termination fees on the lease.
That's correct.
I've tried to find the defense that is in Mr. Trejo's answer, and the best I can figure out is you were playing your radio too loud.
No, that's not true.
I don't know what her defense is. When did you move into this apartment, Mr. Saucedo?
We moved there September 2006.
And how long had you known the defendant before you decided to be roommates?
About a year. I had met her on MySpace.
You didn't have a romantic relationship.
We did prior to moving in. We were talking, kind of dating, but we ended that before we moved in because we didn't want to have conflict with each other.
And did that work out okay?
There was one occasion. Something happened, but that's it.
Everything else was...
Everything else was
she
perfect.
stayed in her room and you stayed in yours.
Exactly, yes. No problems. We both respect each other's space.
When did you move out?
February of 2007.
Why?
Because I felt like I was not in a good environment, because he would have his music all loud. I would work 13 hours a day, 6 days out of the week, and my job is very serious.
What kind of job do you have?
I'm a laboratory technician.
Yeah?
And pretty much I have to get my sleep in order for me to do my bone marrow slides and whatever I do. And he would bring girls over to the house, always playing the music loud, and I could never get my sleep. I would come home 11 o'clock at night from work, and I would shut my door, try to go to sleep. I couldn't. There was always things slamming doors, slamming cabinets, and there was no way of me getting my sleep.
That's not true.
I would be going to sleep until 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning.
So that's your defense. Your defense was that he played the music too loud.
Not only that, Your Honor.
Well, then get to something more meaningful, madam.
Okay, another thing was we did have a sexual relation while we were living together. We did. And another thing was he owed a lot of money to me before we moved in. And, like, the money that he owed me and, like, the music and all that he was always playing. And not only that, but the foul language and the sex he was having with other girls. And I would always bring my friends over, which it was a 14-year-old daughter for my best friends.
Yeah.
And they would come over and come and visit me. And when they would come and visit me, it was at the wrong time, to the point that he would be having sex and the 14-year-old girl would be listening to that.
It's not true.
I'm still waiting for a legal reason for you moving out and breaking your lease.
Because it was not an environment for me to be in.
Should have thought of that before you signed the lease.
He was not like that the way we were.
He was always like, you mean he's a psychopath? He's got bipolar disorder? He's 2 different personalities? You know him for a year. This is who he is.
Yes, but before that, when we moved in together, he was not the way he was before.
So?
It was a whole totally different person.
So what you do is, since you work 12 hours a day, you say, listen, I'm going to stay in this apartment. You leave. I'll take over the lease. But I'm not happy with living with you here. You just don't leave.
I did tell him that. I gave him my 30-day notice.
You can't give him 30-day notice. You have a 1-year lease. How could you give him 30-day notice? Tell him I'm leaving. Goodbye. I'm giving you 30 days.
I did give him a 30-day notice. Plus, not only that, but I just felt like I couldn't be in the apartment anymore. It was affecting with my job.
So I just told you what you should have done. You should have said to him, I think you have to move out because we're not getting along.
I told him that we needed to move out.
Not we.
And
not we. He.
Okay, well, I did not want it to be there no longer either.
Why? No,
I was going to pay whatever was the rest on the lease.
Yes.
Okay? Now, he decided not to leave from there because he didn't want to live with his grandparents anymore.
You're double talking, Ms. Trejo. You're double talking.
He did not want to live with his grandparents.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about you. Why didn't you say to him, I can't stand your music. I can't stand your socials. You move out and I'll stay in the apartment, or you stay in the apartment, I'll move out. If you can't get another roommate, I'll pay the rent or the early termination fees.
We did have a communication in that. And sometimes I wouldn't be able to have a communication with him because of my overtime and the hours I was working. So I would leave a note to him, letting him know the problems that it would affect me in my environment, that me being there. So.
You can't act like a baby. You can't pack up your suitcase and leave when you have a lease, when you have an obligation. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Where did you go when you left him?
I had to went back.
I don't want you to think about where you went. I want you to just tell me where you went.
To my mom's house.
That's an answer. And are you still there?
Yes, I am.
And you don't pay rent?
Yes, I do.
How much rent do you pay?
$500.
I don't believe you. How's that? I don't believe you. I think that you're a slick talker. But I think you did the wrong thing with regard to this young man. You have no valid reason that you moved out of that apartment. None. The radio was too loud? Tell him to turn the radio down. You wrote him letters? Let me see the letters. I assume you kept a copy.
No, I didn't.
Well, of course not, because it's a lot of baloney. You don't like him having women in the apartment? That was your arrangement. Your arrangement was you were moving in as friends. That's why you moved into a 2-bedroom apartment instead of a 1-bedroom apartment. How much did you pay in fees to terminate the lease?
In total, I paid $4,145, but I'm only suing for $3,080 because I'm paying for my half of the rent for the 2 months.
Let me see your figures, please. How many months did you stay there, Mr. Saucedo, after she moved out?
The first week of March was my last week there.
And where did you go?
Back to my grandma's house.
How old are you?
22.
And you?
23.
That's where you belong. Charging for the plaintiff for the amount of $3,080. That's all. Step out.
Oh, you got excused. You may step out.
It's unfortunate I have to come down to this, but I mean, I have to get my money back.
I just felt like it was kind of unfair at the same time.
Things happen in life that nobody has answers to, and this is one of the unfortunate things that happens.
I pretty much gave him whatever he wanted.
We're both young, people. We were single.
Pretty much almost like taking care of him, but I guess that wasn't enough.
All parties in the matter of Smith versus Edwards. Step forward.
Real estate agent Chavez Smith is suing her former friend and client, Erica Edwards, for a loan to pay her mortgage payments.
All right, well, this is one of those little complicated cases that Bert and I are going to try to figure out together. Miss Smith, you and Miss Edwards were friends. By the way, are you a licensed realtor?
Yes, I am.
In what state?
California.
According to your complaint, Miss Edwards wanted to sell her home.
Yes.
And you had initially found a buyer, but that deal fell through.
Yes, ma'am.
So you and Miss Edwards entered into this rather convoluted arrangement.
Yes.
Whereby you would make the mortgage payments on her home.
Yes.
While you were trying to find a purchaser.
Yes.
You might also rent the house while you were looking for a purchaser.
Yes.
And Miss Edwards would be out from under the problem of the mortgage, and she could go and live elsewhere. So far, is that about right?
Yes.
Yes. She did move out of the house, and it is your claim that you made, I believe, 4 mortgage payments for her.
Yes.
She owes you that money.
Yes.
Miss Edwards says that she found out that you had in fact rented the house, didn't tell her that you had rented the house, collected money from the new tenant, did not pay the mortgage on time, thereby ruining her credit. She is counterclaiming for ruining her credit and for the money that you got from renting her house. When did you move out of your house, Miss Edwards?
I moved out May the 29th.
When was the first mortgage payment due?
May the 1st.
Is that the mortgage payment she was supposed to make?
Correct.
But you were living in the house the entire month of May.
She gave me the okay to take that money to put a deposit down on the apartment while she put tenants into the house.
Is that right?
Yes,
So you were supposed to make May's payment?
Yes.
And it's due on May the 1st?
Correct.
Did you make May's payment?
Yes, I did.
When?
June 8th.
Well, that's late.
Yes.
That's unacceptable. You understand that?
No, I didn't tell her that the payment would be made on time. I was helping her.
No, Miss Smith.
I was helping her out
Miss
of the
Smith,
situation.
I read that in your answer to her counterclaim. And you said, well, I told her that I was going to make the payments, but I never said I would make the payments on time. It is presumed in the law that if you agree to take over the mortgage payment, it's understood. The same way it's understood if you say, I'll take over the mortgage payments, that you don't pay them in rupees or yen. You pay them in U.S. dollars. You don't have to write it out that you're going to pay them in U.S. dollars. You say, I'm going to take over the mortgage payments, and they will be paid. And they will be paid on time. You don't have to write on time.
But, Your Honor, we didn't come to that agreement until after she had moved out May 29th.
So you're saying you didn't come to the agreement to make the mortgage payment for May 1st.
Until it was already late.
Until it was, I see that. Is that correct?
That is not correct, Your Honor. We made this agreement the beginning of May.
When the beginning of May?
Around May 1st, because there's a grace period for the mortgage up until the 15th. And Ms. Smith agreed to go ahead and use my mortgage money for that month to put a deposit down on the apartment where I was moving to.
That's not correct.
No, I believe you.
That's not
just a second. I believe you and I don't believe her. That she did not pay May 1st mortgage payment on time, and you did not come to an agreement with her about this until after the mortgage payment for May was late. But then you had an agreement.
Yes.
So June 1st, you should have paid June's mortgage.
No, I paid June's mortgage on June 20th because I paid May's mortgage June 8th. So I paid June's mortgage June 20th.
And July?
And July, I paid July and August late.
When did you make the payments?
I made the payment both in September.
Well, that's unacceptable, Ms. Smith. That's unacceptable. So she has a legitimate gripe. If she had reasonable credit, and I don't know if she did, and she said that this destroyed her credit, that you made these mortgage payments late, she has legitimate beef. How much were the mortgage payments you made for her?
It was $1896.41 times 4.
Just a second.
96 and 41 cents.
7584. Okay. Now, you put a tenant into the house.
Yes, I did.
When?
They moved in June, but their payment wasn't good until July.
Why?
Well, the house was vacant, and they were in a situation to where they didn't have anywhere to go. So I allowed them to move in June and pay me for July.
How much did they pay you?
$1,450.
How much in total did you receive from these tenants?
I received $2,900 from the tenants.
The tenants also gave her $1,000 deposit.
Did you add that in?
Yeah, no, they gave a $1,000 deposit, which was refunded to them.
Okay. I am deducting the amount she was paid by the tenants. Do you understand?
Yes.
Show me your credit score before June and show it to me after.
I wasn't able to get the credit score after, but I do have it before June.
Well, you have to show me both. How do I know that you were damaged? That's your counterclaim, that your credit score was damaged because your mortgage was paid late. Isn't that your counterclaim?
Yes.
Well, how am I supposed to see that? Okay, so you have no counterclaim that you can prove. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if she paid your mortgage late and you could show damages as a result of paying the mortgage late, I would give you a certain amount to compensate you for that bad credit, but you can't prove that to me. Okay. Is there any reason why you don't owe her for these mortgage payments, $4,684? When did you move back into the house?
September the 15th.
She never moved back in.
September the 15th, the tenants moved out.
But she never moved in.
Who did?
Nobody. She left the house vacant until she just recently sold it a couple months ago. So
I moved back to the house.
Just a second. Hold it. Did you move back to the house?
Yes, I did.
In September?
September the 15th, when the tenants moved out.
And when did you sell the house?
September the 19th.
The house 4 days later?
Yes. I didn't move my stuff. My stuff was in storage. I was there at the house.
Don't play with me. Will you please?
I'm not.
So you're playing with me. How much did you sell the house for?
$394,000.
How much did you pay for it?
$125,000.
Why didn't you give her the mortgage payments that she laid out for you?
What mortgage payments?
The mortgage payments that she paid for you.
The tenants that were there gave her the money for her to pay the mortgage.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
Show me that.
They're her friends. They were friends of hers.
Just a second. Show me that.
They were friends
Bring
of hers.
a witness.
And they did not want to be involved.
Listen to me.
These are friends that she moved into the house.
Listen to me, my dear. She made mortgage payments totaling almost $8,000. According to her, she got rent for a 2-month period, which I have deducted $1,450. Were they month-to-month tenants, or did they sign a lease?
They signed a lease.
They signed a lease that I was not aware of.
What difference does it make? That was your agreement with her. She's not your mother. Why would she make your mortgage payment? Your agreement was she was going to rent the house. She was going to make the mortgage payment until such time I'm speaking. Thick. Until such time as the house could be sold, then she would recoup her money and everybody would be happy. I mean, what do you think? This is a windfall? You think you get somebody else to pay your mortgage, you make $200,000 on the house, and you don't have to pay it back? What are you, an idiot?
No, I'm not.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,684. That's all. Step out. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Business, friendship, and family really don't mix.
I guess the moral to all this is don't get business mixed with friendship.
At the end of the day, if somebody's trying to help you out as a friend, you would think that you would at least try to uphold your end of the bargain.
Be wiser and know what type of people you're dealing with.
I hate that it came to this.
We haven't talked since last year.
Sometimes people in your life are for a reason or season, and I guess this was just a reason. I help her transition to wherever she needs to be, and I'll move forward.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of parent versus parent. Step forward, please.
Sonny Parent is suing his ex-wife, Stephanie Parent, for the return of a laptop computer. Stephanie says that Sonny needs to move on.
You two folks had a short-term marriage, and from what I gather, a relatively amicable divorce. Is that right?
Correct.
Yes. Did you have lawyers?
No.
Did you use the court system?
Yes.
Filed papers?
Yes.
Clerks had to read the papers?
Correct.
Judge had to read the papers? Judge's law secretary had to read the papers before you were granted the divorce? So you gobbled up your share of the justice system, right?
Yeah. Correct.
You're not going to gobble up any more time over nonsense. This is what this case is about. While you were married, there was a computer purchased.
Correct.
You say it was purchased for your business. She says it was purchased as a gift for her. I don't care. He doesn't care. You have two different versions of how she got her hands on the computer. You say she borrowed it. She says you borrowed it. I don't care. He doesn't care. How much was the computer?
$699.
When was it purchased?
In July, I do believe.
July 13th, 2006.
Yes.
So this $700 computer is now maybe worth $400. Who has the computer?
I do.
Do you want the computer or do you want to pay him $200?
I'll take the computer and pay him $200.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $200. That's all. Step out.
Parties excused.
I got $200 for a $400 computer. I'm happy.
Quick and easy.
It was tons of other things that led up to this.
My opinion is it was a gift, and a gift's a gift.
She came up with every excuse in the world.
Friendship, no relationship.
A bad 10-month marriage.
And I'll just keep it that way. It's better off.
Once it's over, stay gone. Don't get back in it.
Ted Kelly is suing his granddaughter's friend, 18-year-old Nicholas Rundy, for crashing his car while driving intoxicated. Nicholas says the accident wasn't his fault.
Mr. Kelly, this is your...
Granddaughter.
And you own a car?
Yes.
You let your granddaughter use the car?
Yes.
What kind of car is it?
It's a 2002 Pontiac Grand Am.
You're a very, very good grandpa.
Yeah, I try to be.
How many grandchildren do you have?
4.
Is this the oldest?
Yes.
You don't play favorites, do you?
Try not to.
Try not. I know. Well, Mr. Rundy over here wrecked your car. And he says, it's not my fault. It's somebody else's fault.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you wreck Mr. Kelly's car?
April 4th, I do believe.
At what time of the day or evening did you wreck his car?
Around 10 o'clock at night.
Where had you been earlier that evening?
Over at Alicia's house.
How many people were at Alicia's house?
Her, myself, Philip, and 2 of my friends.
So 1 girl
1 girl.
and 4 boys.
4 boys.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ted Kelly claims his granddaughter's friend, 18-year-old Nicholas Rundy, wrecked his car during a night of drinking. Nicholas says Ted's granddaughter is also to blame.
Now, how old is Alicia?
18.
And who does she live with?
By herself.
By herself.
Mm-hmm.
What time did you get there?
8 o'clock probably. She called Philip's cell phone to have us come over just to hang out.
Don't offer me any information that I didn't ask for, Mr. Rundy.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll get all the information I need. At what time did you take Mr. Kelly's car?
9:30 or so.
How much had you been drinking?
A couple glasses of mixed drink.
Of what?
Rum, I do believe.
Who mixed them?
We did.
Who's we?
Me and Philip and everybody, they were pouring our own drinks.
Who mixed your drink?
Me.
And who mixed your second drink?
Myself.
And if you had a third drink, who would have mixed your third drink?
Myself.
Where did you get the mixers from?
We didn't have any mixers, we were just pouring them from the bottle.
Well, then that's not a mixed drink. Unless you were mixing scotch and rye, and you weren't mixing alcohol, were you?
No.
Because that would have been really dumb.
Right.
So were you having straight drinks or mixed drinks?
Straight drinks.
So you had a few straight drinks, and you took the car about 9 o'clock at night. Who was in the car with you when you took it?
Philip.
And at what point did the car get wrecked?
Around 9:45, I do believe.
Did you receive any sort of citation that day from the police department?
No, ma'am.
Did the police arrive at the scene?
Yes.
Did they give you a breathalyzer test?
No.
Did they take you to a hospital?
No, they just questioned me about the car and arrested me for public intoxication.
So you didn't get a citation, you got arrested.
Yeah.
So if you got arrested for public intoxication, you must have been really drunk.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were driving.
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
My father now.
Did your mother throw you out?
No, I had to move.
Why?
Wasn't doing the right thing in Indiana.
Is that where your mother lives?
Yes, ma'am.
So your mother had enough of you moved to?
Cocoa Beach, Florida.
Who does your father live with?
Himself and me and my brother.
And what are you doing in Florida now?
About to go to school and looking
So
for a
right
job
now you're doing nothing?
Yeah.
About to go to school, about to get a job, right now you're doing nothing?
Yeah, I just moved down there.
Now, Mr. Rundy, you are going to explain to me, sir, why this accident was not your fault. Or please pay careful attention, because in case I miss something, I really want somebody to give me a poke to be able to say, you missed it, you know, you missed the important part.
I'm here for you.
Thank you.
All right.
We're both all ears, Mr. Rundy.
I'm not trying to say that it's not my fault.
Well, that's what you said in the answer. You said, let me tell you what you said in the
Okay.
answer, Mr. Rundy,
Okay.
which caused me to do this torturing routine that I did for the last 5 minutes.
Right.
Alicia, the other 18-year-old idiot who was drinking that night with 4 guys, she's the reason why I had to go to jail. That's what you wrote here.
I didn't.
And had to take classes for first-time offenders. Did you have to take classes for
Yes, I
first-time
did.
offenders? I was surprised to learn that Mr. Kelly is suing me. Alicia should pay her grandfather for the money he is asking. Mr. Kelly is suing the wrong person. That's what you wrote. So now what you're telling me is that was all a big mistake?
No, it's not a big mistake. I feel she should have some responsibility in her car. I know what I did was wrong, and I know that, but...
She wasn't in the car.
She gave me the keys to her car, though.
Yeah.
So where's the responsibility come in at?
How much do you weigh?
180?
You think that she could carry you, put you in the car, take your hand, put the key in the ignition,
I have no
turn
idea.
it on? You don't think she could do that, do you?
No.
Only you could do that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're the one who poured your own alcohol.
Yes, ma'am.
You're the one who put the glass to your lips and guzzled it down.
Yes, ma'am.
You're the one that took your behind and put it behind the wheel of a car where you could have killed somebody.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're the one who's going to pay for Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly, were you able to have the car fixed?
Yes, I was.
And how much did it cost you, Mr. Kelly?
Over $5,000.
You have the bill for it?
Yes.
Can I see it, please? Mr. Kelly, your granddaughter Alicia, I must tell you, I believe, did not act responsibly that evening. That doesn't mean that he's off the hook. That just means that if I were you, I wouldn't give her back the car.
I'm sorry.
Did you give her back the car?
Yes, after I got it fixed.
That was a big mistake. I wouldn't have given her back the car. She behaved irresponsibly. You understand that, don't you?
Yes.
Taking advantage of your grandfather. I wouldn't let you take advantage of me. I'll tell you that right now. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. Mr. Rundy, you better get busy and get back to Florida. Hurry up, hustle, get a job. Hustle, hustle, bustle.
All right.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Jennifer Day is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old Spencer Fenimore, for breaking a lease. Spencer claims there was no lease to break.
Miss Day, you and Mr. Fenimore lived together for a period of time, signed a lease on an apartment, lived together during the course of that lease. The lease was renewed, according to you, for another 6 months, and Mr. Fenimore moved out after a month or so. You want him to be responsible for his half of the remainder of the lease. Mr. Fenimore, while he acknowledges that you signed an initial lease together, his defense is that he did not sign the renewal, that you must have signed for him. You knew that he was intending to leave, that things weren't going well between the two of you, and he is not responsible for the second part of the lease. So can I see the first lease that you signed? When did you move in together?
It was, I believe, December 2004.
Well, the lease was signed November 2005.
I think it was 2004. I'm not real correct on that.
Well, what am I looking at? November
That's
29,
probably our
2005. What?
That's probably our renewal lease.
I didn't ask for the renewal. I asked for the original lease.
This isn't the actual lease, but it's part of the first lease that has the 12804 date that Spencer
Can I
was
see
speaking
it,
of.
please? Okay. So the original was signed on 12804, and you claim the renewal was signed by him on November 29th, 2005.
That's correct.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you sign the renewal?
Yes.
You said in your answer you didn't sign the renewal.
I signed the renewal that went from November 2005 until May 2006. She's suing me from May 2006 to
Oh.
November 2006.
Got it. So who has that renewal?
The one that I handed to you shows that we went in the office and verbally renewed, and I have a letter from the office dated June 1st.
You can't verbally renew. Cannot verbally renew a 6-month lease. That's ridiculous. He says he did not renew the lease. You have no proof that he did renew the lease.
If he didn't want to renew the lease, Your Honor, he shouldn't have stayed there till July.
Because then you can have a month-to-month tenancy.
Okay.
You can have a month-to-month tenancy and pay every month until the landlord says, listen, I don't want to give you a month-to-month tenancy anymore. You have to leave within 30 days. Then you leave.
Right.
But you can't obligate him. Sorry, case is dismissed.
21-year-old Laura Termini is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Justin Jordan, for punching out the windshield of her car and impound fees.
This was your boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
You had an argument while you were driving in a car. You were the driver?
Yes, ma'am.
He was the passenger. During the course of the argument, he got very angry and he hit the windshield, or hit a mirror in your car, which broke the windshield. You want him to pay for that?
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that after this incident, you were no longer boyfriend and girlfriend, but about a month later, you had to go to the airport. So you were stupid enough to ask him if he would drive you to the airport and he could keep your car and use it while you were away. So he took you to the airport. According to him, he parked it where he shouldn't have parked it. It got towed, and it cost you a whole bunch of money to get the car out of the towing facility. So far, is that about right, Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, that's correct.
No, look at me. Look at me,
Yes.
smarty pants. Yes, Judge, that's correct.
Yes, it is. Correct.
All right. Mr. Jordan's defense is he broke the windshield in the car instead of breaking your face, because that's how mad he was. So he hit something that couldn't really injure. Am I reading it right?
Yes, you are.
And the second part about taking the car and having it towed, he says, well, you should have come home from your vacation early and taken care of your problem, right?
Right, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jordan, did you eat spinach as a child? Regularly?
Yeah.
Now, I want you to tell me when this incident was, Mr. Jordan, in the car.
Late August.
August of 2006.
August of 2006.
All right. Where were you coming from, sir?
We were coming from our apartment, and we were taking the cat to the vet, which was neglected, and it was dying, and I was very pissed off, and that's the bottom line.
Whose cat was it?
It was hers.
What kind of cat was it?
It was a Savannah F2.
A Savannah F2.
Yeah.
What is that?
It just has some wild cat in it, so it's like half wild, half regular cat.
How long had you had the cat?
About 6 months.
And when you say she neglected the cat, Mr. Jordan, what do you mean she neglected the cat?
It means it didn't have its proper shots, it wasn't taken care of correctly, it was not fed the right food.
Okay. So you were angry with her that you were taking the cat to the vet.
Yeah, it was dying.
And what did you do?
Well, she was degrading me, putting me down, and
Well, what did she say to you, Mr. Jordan?
a bunch of stuff like worthless and just stuff like that, you know?
She called you worthless?
Yeah, stuff like that, yeah.
What else did she call you?
A bunch of profound words that I can't say on TV, but,
You mean
know.
profanity, not
Profanity,
profound.
yes.
So what did you do?
So I punched the windshield.
And who was responsible for that?
She is.
Because she made you angry.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you took her to the airport
Yes.
in her car, and then you took her car to work.
Yes.
Did you park it in a place where you shouldn't have parked the car?
No.
You mean the police made a mistake in
Yes.
towing your car?
Yes.
Was it parked near a fire hydrant? Was
No, they say it was blocking a driveway.
it blocking a driveway?
Yeah.
But there was no driveway.
No, there was a driveway, but it was not blocking a driveway.
You mean somebody could have squeezed through?
Definitely. No, it wasn't blocking a driveway.
You mean they just selected your car at random because you ate your
No.
spinach as a child?
No.
So what happened when you came out and found the car no longer there, Mr.
So it was
Jordan?
gone, and I went to Anaheim Police Department, and I couldn't get it out.
Well, when you went to the Anaheim Police Department, what were you told?
She had to come get it out.
And you said that she was on vacation.
Yes, I did.
Did you contact her?
Yes, I did.
Did you ask her to send you a letter of authorization so that you could get the car?
Yes, I did.
And did she send it?
No, she didn't.
Why not?
Because he said that he didn't have the money to pay it. So if I send it, he wouldn't pay it anyway.
Is that what you told her?
No.
What did you tell her?
I told her to come get it out.
Who was supposed to pay for it?
I told her I was going to pay for it.
Oh, good. So?
If she came home and got it out, but she remained in New York for another 5 days. That's
Well-
why that bill's so expensive.
Oh, the bill is so high, sir, because you parked in a driveway.
No, it was $160, and whatever she paid, that's her fault.
Tell me how much the impound fees were.
Together with the ticket, $435.
And the windshield?
It is $1,097.
Did you have the car fixed?
No, I haven't. I don't have the money to have it fixed.
Okay. Anything else you want to say to me, Mr. Jordan, before I let you go on your way, sir?
No.
Wasn't this a pleasant experience? Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,530.
Paid for the damage.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is number 90 on the calendar in the matter of Farkas versus Bull. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, ma'am.
Mr. Farkas, if you tell me the story in as interesting a manner as you wrote it in your papers, it's going to be a fun morning. So, relax and tell me your story.
Well, I was traveling westbound on Sunset Boulevard heading towards Highland. I get to the corner of Highland with a plan to make a right turn. I'm in the far right lane. The light changes. I move forward a foot or yard. All of a sudden, bam! Mr. Bull over here smashes me from the middle lane of Sunset because he's decided to make a right turn onto Highland. So we pull into a strip center right nearby, and I'm reaching for my documents. I'm just trying to compose myself, and he saunters over to my window, and in his way, oh, I'm so sorry I did this. This is terrible. I had my mind on other things, and I'm getting a divorce. I'm saying, please, I don't want to know. Just let's go with the license and registration. So I look at his license.
A divorce? I just got married, so I gotta be getting a divorce.
I'm going to get to you in a second.
I read his license. Dwayne Xavier Bull, license expires in '95. Do you have insurance? No, this I don't have. I look at his license plates, New Mexico license plates. So what are we going to do? He says, I just want to pay for it. Why don't you just take it over to a... So I asked him, what beseeched you? What possessed you to make this turn?
Your Honor,
he says, I saw my boyfriend on Highland Avenue with another man, and I got so upset. I said, I'm not interested. What are you going to do? He says, I'm going to pay. He says, I'm going to pay for it. I tell him, I'm going to go right now to get an estimate, and I'm going to bring it to you, and you'll pay for it, and we'll forget the whole thing. Now, the man, can I show this to the judge, please?
Yes.
The day, exactly at the incident, I wouldn't leave the scene without him signing this. It clearly says, Dwayne Xavier Bull agrees to pay me. He caused the accident. Fine, so he does it. So what happens next? I call him and call him and call him. No answer. He gives me his pager. His salon is on Sunset. Following morning, I walk into his place of business. I walk in, and this young lady takes over. Divorce, marriage, the French woman, I don't know, but she starts, excuse me, I will handle this. Dwayne has no money. Well, that's good. That's good. What are we going to do? But we want to fix your car, so we want you to take your car to Vahe.
To who?
Vahe.
Vahe.
So Vahe, the Armenian auto body repair. It's right. There's more documents to establish it. I pick up the telephone. I say, I'm not leaving here till I speak to Vahe, so it's perfectly clear that Vahe fixes my car, he pays for it, and I go home. I call up Vahe, and I say, Vahe, do we understand each other? Dwayne Xavier Bull, I'm going to bring my car to Jenemsveld in the valley somewhere, and you don't know where, I don't know where it is. You have to take a cow to get there. So, Vahe, do we understand each other? You're going to fix the car, and Dwayne Xavier Bull is going to pay for it. He says, no problem. We know Dwayne. You bring your car. You'll be very happy. Following morning, my wife and kid in tow with the Camry behind us. We're trucking out to no man's land. Oh, excuse me. Here's the document that says that he agrees to pay Varaz Auto Repair when I bring the car to him. Okay. Dwayne, can you give me a chance?
Mr. Bull, I'm going to let you tell the defendant's side of the story as soon as he's finished, okay? Go ahead.
So I get to Varaz. Vahe's a very nice guy. He says, leave the car, no problem. On my way home, I'm telling my wife, there's no shot in the world that this problem is over. Sure enough, like clockwork, Vahe's boss calls me. Bob the Armenian. Bob, we have a problem. Of course we have a problem. Dwayne Bull didn't come to pay for the car, right. He says, we agreed that he would just pay for the parts and we'll give him time on the labor. The man doesn't come. So I start calling him. Vahe's calling him. Bob is calling him. The man doesn't return calls. Finally, he threatens me on the telephone. I called West Hollywood Police. He says to me, if you call me and harass me anymore, I'll have people beat you up. I call West Hollywood Police, but they're busy with seatbelts. They can't handle this.
How long are you in California, sir?
Not long.
How long were you in California at the time of this accident?
Unfortunately, only about 60 or 90 days, and although it's not relevant to the case, 45 days before this incident, I move into a house on April 4th, and the following day I wake up in the morning and the house is on fire. I'm carrying my baby out in the fire at 2 o'clock in the morning. And if I make, oh yes, we heard it enough. Well, here's an official document from the fire department establishing that happened. I know it's not relevant. I'm sorry.
It has nothing to do with the case.
Okay, so did you get your car?
I actually paid for it yesterday for a full month. I mean, this man wreaked havoc on my life.
How much was the...
$1,800.
It was 19 at first.
Excuse me.
You want to pay 19?
Excuse me. The day I came to him in his salon, I showed him the first estimate that I told him I would get was for 18 and change. Varaz, his own people, estimated at 1,800. And that's what I paid for it. And
$1,800.
$1,800. So this is his own. This is his own people. This is Vahe's estimate.
Okay, Mr. Bull, you've been anxious to tell me your side of the story. Now I'm prepared to hear you, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Repair, Mr. Farkas' car. He agreed to pay for the repair. He never came by to pay for it.
Paper.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dwayne Bull, a Hollywood hair and makeup specialist, says his collision with actor Peter Farkas on Sunset Boulevard was Farkas's fault, and he shouldn't have to pay for the damage.
Now I'm prepared to hear you, sir.
Okay, Your Honor, the way I say it is, yes, he is correct. I was traveling west on Sunset